else still drink Capri Sun, or just me? Hey, what's up you guys? Okay, so first off, sorry for my messy background. There's like stuff like everywhere. But I'm in the process of like moving like to my cabin for the summer, so like everything's all over the place. So yeah. Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys a story. This is a story time of the second time that I was hospitalized for a kidney stone. I will link my first one in the description so you can hear about the first time I was hospitalized. So yeah. So this was inspired by me getting a kidney stone today. So if you don't know what a kidney stone is, basically you have like your kidneys like in your back, kind of like here, and there's like little tubes that like go down, and when you get a kidney stone they get like stuck in the tubes and then it hurts like a lot. So that's what inspired today's video. But I'm fine. Like, there are different types of kidney stones, and there can be like horrible ones or like tiny ones, and I only had like a tiny one, so it was like it was fine. It didn't really hurt, it didn't really last that long, so I'm fine, I'm good. But yes, so since I was in 3rd grade I have been getting kidney stones, and the first time, if you watch my first getting hospitalized for a kidney stone video, I kind of went in depth of like what it is and the whole story of the first time that I like got diagnosed with kidney stones. So if you wanted to like have more like background, go watch that first. Click the link in the description, it'll be the first one, and then you can know a little bit more about my whole situation. So anyways, I knew I had kidney stones, and like basically I've had a lot through the years, probably like maybe like close to 50. I don't know, that seems like a lot, but I've had a lot, like for reals. So I know what they feel like, and so let me give you some background. So I have special medication for if I get a kidney stone and like I like don't feel like going to the hospital, because like I'm really good at passing kidney stones. So basically you can like wait it out and it'll like pass through and then you'll pee it out. That's like how they like come out or whatever. So basically I'm really good at that. Like they usually pass, like I don't know what like the statistics are for like, oh, they can last from this long till this long. I don't really know that, but usually mine will pass within 24 hours. So like I've never had to have like surgery or like anything crazy to like fix anything. Like they pass on their own because apparently I'm good. So anyways, I have like special medication if I just want to like wait it out at home, so I don't have to go to the emergency room and like get an IV and you know, the whole hospital commotion of anytime you go to a hospital. So that's your background. So I went to school. This was in 11th grade, I think in like April. And yeah, it was April, I'm pretty sure. So I go to school. I only had a few, wait, hold on. How many classes did I have? Wait, was this? Wait, no. No, this was in 12th grade. This was in 12th grade. This was last year. So, almost a year ago. So, I went to school. I only had a few classes because I was a senior. So, I was like ahead on my classes because like I'm smart. So, I was only taking a few classes. I had nothing first period, so I could come to school late. Then I had English. And then, shoot, what did I have third? Oh, and then I had participation in government, free. Did I have anything fifth? Health. I think that was it. Is that it? I have no idea. We'll just go with that. So the point is, I had English, participation in government, then free, then health, then nothing else. I think we're gonna go with that. So I go to school. I feel fine. It's like a normal day. I hated school. I didn't want to be there, but I was there anyway. So I was at school, normal day, whatever. So I'm in English, nothing weird, fine, English happens. Then I go to participation in government. That is a mouthful, trying to say that like 5 times fast, oh my gosh. So I hate history, I've always hated history. Me and history, just no. So I'm more of a math science girl, okay? So I was like probably daydreaming about Riker, about what I was going to write in my fanfiction, because that's all I care about, fanfiction. So that's what I would think about when I didn't feel like paying attention in class. And I sat in the back. I was a very good student, even though I hate history, got good grades, I think, for the most part. So, like, if I was, like, daydreaming, like, my teachers didn't care. They'd just be like, okay, whatever, like, you do whatever you're gonna do. So, me just in the back, daydreaming, you know, I'm just sitting on my desk like this, blah, blah, blah. And then, so, third period, my participation in government class is 5 minutes longer than every other class, because we have morning announcements, third period, for all the seniors who come in late. So if, like, a lot of them wouldn't have a first period, so if we had, like, announcements, they would miss it. So they would do announcements third period. So it was 5 minutes longer. So it started at 10:15, I think, and went until, or maybe it started at 10:10. 10:10 or 10:15, one of those. And it went until 11, I believe. No, it started 9:15 and went until 10. Yes, that's the times. It's been like a year. I can't remember times. So, anyways, so I'm sitting in class and I'm just like, blah, whatever. Like, okay, this is a whole nother story, but we did nothing in participation in government. Like, my teacher taught us nothing. Anyways, we would talk about, like, current events and, like, not curriculum, but whatever. So I was just like sitting there, whatever, and then I feel a pain and I'm like, crap, this feels a lot like a kidney stone. So I think it was in my left side. So basically here's where I can feel the pain. A lot of people are like, oh, you'll feel it in your back, but since I've had so many, I can tell you when it's higher up, you feel it in your back, and once it starts going lower, so it's like closer to like getting out, because sometimes it'll be in there and then it'll move, but it'll still hurt, but it'll move to a different spot, so it'll hurt in a different spot. I know, complicated. So it'll start up here, and then you can slowly start to feel it like down here, and that's how you know that it's like lower. So anyways, so it hurt up here, so I was like, crap. And the way, at least the way it is for me, kidney stones start out and they hurt, and the pain progressively gets worse and worse and worse until it's the worst that it's going to be. And that might be not a lot, or it could be a whole lot, depending on the kidney stone. So I was just like, okay, whatever, I'll just wait and see what happens. It doesn't really hurt, and we'll just take things as they go. So I was like, whatever. So I'm sitting in class and still not really paying attention, daydreaming about Riker. And then towards, like, the end of class, I was a clock looker. Like, I like to look at the clock and be like, how many minutes left? Like, counting down the minutes until I get out. But today, I was especially being a clock looker. And it was so bad because, like, the clock was behind me, so I'd be like, what the I eventually started wearing a watch so I could be like, how many more minutes left? But I was like, okay, this hurts. Like, how many more minutes of this? Like, because it's just, like, okay. I know this doesn't really make that much sense, but to me, like, it'd be easier to deal with the pain if I was in, like, a study hall, because then I could just be and, like, not have to, like, pretend like I was paying attention. Like, it would just be, I just wanted to get out of the class and just be in study hall and just be in pain in study hall instead of in participation in government. So I keep looking at the clock, and the pain is getting worse and worse and worse. And I'm just like, oh, hopefully it just, like, levels out and it doesn't get any worse, but it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And then bell rings, and then I go down to the senior lounge, and the senior lounge is just like, it's kind of like a cafeteria, but it's only for the seniors, and, like, nobody else is allowed in there. So I go there, and I used to bring my tablet so I could type fan fiction, and because I had a ton of free periods, so I would just type. So I brought my tablet, and I go sit down at a table, and I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna distract myself, I'm just gonna type fan fiction and just make it through the day. And I was one of those people who would just like count down the periods until school was out. So I was just like, okay, I'm just going to focus on fan fiction and hopefully just get through this day. So, and I got to leave one period early. I got to leave at the end of 7th. So I didn't even have to stay the whole day. So I was just like, okay, just focus on my fan fiction. So I'm sitting there, I'm typing, and I don't even know what story I was typing. I have like 50 stories. So I was just typing. But like, you know when like something is like bothering you so much that is the only thing you can think about? Like the pain was getting so bad that all I could think about was how much it was hurting. And I could not focus on my fan fiction. So I was like, okay, I can't really take this anymore, so I'm gonna go to the nurse. So I closed my tablet, I put in my backpack. Where are you going? I put in my backpack, and I go. There's like a teacher in the student lounge, you know, to make sure like there's no like fights or anything. We had like 4,000 kids like in my school, or in my old high school. So we had like a lot of kids, and there would be fights like on the daily. So there was a teacher in the student lounge, or the senior lounge, and I was like, hey, can I have a pass to the nurse? She was like, sure. She gave me a pass, and I was like, all right, see ya. And then I left because we have like hall monitor peoples who like they don't really check your passes, but like they want, like, you want to have a pass just to be like, oh yeah, I can be in the halls, like, you know, like whatever. So I walked to the nurse, and here's where everything went wrong. Okay, so we have like, I don't know at your guys' schools or whatever your school systems are or were, but we had these little emergency cards things, and they would be like a white and a yellow card. They would be the same, but there would be 2 copies of them. I don't know why, but it would be like, this is my name, these are my parents, here are their phone numbers, like, you know, like stuff like that. And you can write down like, oh, existing conditions, like maybe you have asthma, or maybe you have, I don't even know what else people could have, but like my existing condition was kidney stones. And like, you're not allowed to like have medication at school, and they can't give you medication, so I couldn't like take anything even if I like got a kidney stone. So I don't know what the purpose of that was, but whatever. So I go to the nurse, and I just remember like, okay, this is how the nurse worked at my high school. You would take, when you came in, you would sign in, give the lady, like the reception lady, your pass, and be like, oh, I'm coming from this classroom or whatever, and then like write your name, write the period, write the date, like whatever. And then if you had like a teacher, write the teacher's name, like whatever. So I sign in, and then you have to take a clipboard, and there are clipboards with these pieces of paper. It's like, my name is this, today's whatever the date is, it's this time, it's this period, it's this teacher, it's this class, I am here today because, and then there were a whole bunch of like checkboxes, like headache, like sore throat, stomach ache, like, I don't know, just like things that could be wrong. And then there was like other. No, yeah, there was, okay. Well, I didn't check other. But, so there were all these things, and you would just like check stuff. And then there would be other questions like, oh, did it, like, if like you had a headache or something, you'd be like, did you have a headache like before you came to school? Did you take medication? Did you eat breakfast this morning? Like, things like that. So that would like save time when like the nurse was like asking you questions, because she could just like look at the thing and be like, oh, like blah blah blah. Anyways, so I just remember I filled it out, and instead of saying I had a kidney stone, I wrote that I had period cramps. And you might be like, well, why? And it's because I didn't want them to send me to the hospital, because I knew if you're a girl, and if you go to the nurse and you write that you have period cramps, they'll just send you home. Like, they won't even be like, oh, do you think you could go back to class? Maybe you just want to lay down, then try going back to class. Like, if you want to go home, they will let you go home, okay? So I showed that, and I was like, okay, hopefully they'll just let me go home. Like, I've gone home before for this reason, so hopefully they'll just let me go home. I can take medicine. Like, the end. I'm still like in so much pain. So I write that, and I remember I was just sitting in one of the chairs just waiting, and there were so many people in the nurse this day, and like I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm about to like die here, like this is taking forever. I must have been sitting there for like 15 minutes, but like when you're in so much pain it feels like an eternity. So finally someone's like, oh, Kylie. So I walk up and give me the clipboard, and she's like, oh, do you want to go home? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay, I'll call your mom. And I was like, all right, great. My mom worked at the school when I was at school. So I was like, oh, my mom works in Cafe C and D. We have Cafe A, B, and then C and D. And she's like, oh, okay. So she like called like the extension or like whatever it was. And so she told my mom, apparently my mom was like cutting up fruit or something. And she was like, oh, your mom said that your grandpa's gonna come pick you up. And I was like, okay. So now I have to wait for him to come and then drive me home. But I was like, okay, fine. So I go lay down and I'm just like waiting. I just remember I was just staring at the clock and watching the minutes tick by, and it just felt like never ending pain. And it's like getting worse and worse and worse, and it's already like horrible. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 10. Like people say kidney stones hurt worse than having children. So like yes, it hurt a lot. 10 on the 10 scale. So I'm like laying there just like, oh my gosh, I am about to die. How much longer is this going to take? So finally, they're like, oh, Kylie, your grandpa's here. And I'm like, oh, thank God. So stop whapping your tail and making noise. So I get up and then I like sign out. They give you like a little pass that's like, oh, you're leaving because you're sick or like whatever. That's like the nurse reason, like, stop. So then we go out and he's like, oh, you're not feeling well? And I'm like, no. So we don't really say anything on the way home. I'm just like dead. So then I finally get home. I go in, I close the garage, and then I go up to my room. And I have liquid Tylenol, which is like, because I don't take pills. So I have liquid Tylenol, and it's like extra strength, like, I don't know, it's like extra strength liquid Tylenol, and it tastes like really disgusting, but it's like amazing for period cramp. So like that's like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go take a double dose of this and hopefully start feeling better. So I went into my parents' bathroom because that's where we keep all of like the medication in their bathroom closet thingamabobber, and I got the liquid Tylenol. And like normally like I have to like take like a drink of the medicine, take a drink of water, because it's like, it's nasty, it's gross. But I remember I just like drank 2 cups of it like that because I was just like dying so much. So I'm like, okay, hopefully like the pain is going to start like getting better. Like it just hurts so bad. So I go back into my bedroom, I lay down on my bed, and I just start crying because it hurts so bad. And it feels like the medicine's not doing anything, and like, you know, it takes time for medicine to start working, but it felt like it was doing nothing at all. So I'm just like waiting and waiting and waiting, and it's not getting better. And then I start like screaming in pain. Like that sounds like ridiculous. It sounded like I was screaming bloody murder. And like, I don't know what it is about screaming, but I feel like that helps you feel better. Like, I don't know about you, but like, have you ever like screamed in pain? Like, I feel like that helps. I don't know, maybe it's just me. And then I calmed myself down, and I was like, okay, let's be rational for a second. I was like, okay, I took as much as I could take. Like, I can't take any more medication. I don't know where my kidney stone medication is, because my mom has like this bathroom vanity of death. Like, you open the cabinets, that's where she keeps all of like her medication, like for like, I don't know, she has like thyroid stuff, and that's where she keeps my special kidney stone medication. If you open like her bathroom vanity drawers, it's like, or cabinets, like you're not gonna be able to find anything. It's like madness in there. So I was like, there's no way I'm finding this. Like I don't even know. So I was just like, okay, maybe I should give it more time. Like maybe the medicine hasn't had enough time to work. But I knew it had enough time to work. Also, let me tell you guys like the time frame. Okay, so I went to the nurses at approximately 10:15. So I got picked up at approximately, at approximately 11:30. got home at 11:45, and that now it was 12, like noon. So I've been in a lot of pain for a while. So I calmed myself down for a second, and I sat up, and I was like, okay, I need my mom to come home to give me this medicine, because otherwise I'm gonna die. And I knew she was coming home around 2, because that's the time that she gets out of work, and I was like kind of trying to see if I could like make it until 2, but like I was not going to make it until 2. So I was like, okay, let me call my dad. He can call her and like tell her what's up. So try calling my dad. He has like a work cell phone, and then he has like a work phone like in his office. So I call his cell phone, nothing. Then I call his work phone, nothing. What? So then I decide to try to call both of his phones again. So I call his cell phone, nothing. Call his work phone, nothing. I'm like, crap. And then I look at the time, and it's past noon. I'm like, he's on his frickin' lunch break. So like he's gonna be gone for like an hour. So then I'm like, okay, let me call my grandpa. And at this point in time, my phone was legitimately about to die. Okay, this was the phone I had. It's like, it's not a phone anymore because I have an iPhone, so this doesn't work. But this is my phone, and it's cracked, as you can see. Has the lovely R5 on the back of it. But anyways, this thing was like about to die. So I remember I plugged it into the wall, and like I was using a portable charger because it had the same like little pluggy in thingy. And it was like this long. It was like 5 inches long, because like it's for a portable charger. So like, why do you need a long cord? So, but anyways, so I plugged my phone into the wall. I'm like squatting on the ground so I can talk on the phone while it's still plugged in. So I call my grandpa. He's like, hello. I'm like, I need you to call mom because I have a kidney stone and like I'm dying. And he's like, oh, okay. All right, I'll call you back. And I'm like, okay, bye. So then I lay down again in bed, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, today is the longest day of my life. So then like probably like 10 minutes later, I get a call. It's my grandpa. I'm like, hello? Like, I'm still like squatting down on the ground trying to like have it still be plugged in while I'm like talking. I'm like, hello? He's like, I just called mom. She'll be home like in 15 minutes. She's just finishing, like, I forget what she was doing, like cutting up fruit or something. I was like, okay. But I was like, really? She has to finish cutting up whatever she's doing, like, and I'm dying? Like, thanks. Anyways, so I'm like, okay. Now I know, like, everything just seems like, if you're in a lot of pain, if you know that, like, relief is coming, like, it just seems like it's better. So I was like, okay. Like, I had hope. I was like, it's going to get better. So I was like, I was hopeful. So, anyways, so I'm, like, laying in bed, and I'm crying, and I'm just like, today is the worst day ever, like, And I was also like, if I had just told the nurse it was a kidney stone, I probably wouldn't be in this situation right now. But finally, my mom gets home, and she's like, so you have a kidney stone? I'm like, yeah, I do. And she's like, oh, how bad does it hurt on a scale of 1 to 10? I'm like, 10! She's like, okay, did you take any medicine? I'm like, yeah, I took medicine, I'm not dumb. I was a bit testy, okay? And I told her I took a double dose of Tylenol. I was like, I need my kidney stone medication. I don't know where it is. Like, help. So, this was medication prescribed to me back when I was in 3rd grade. So, these pills are a bit old. Like, a lot of years old, okay? So, she gave me, normally I take half a pill because these things knock me out. But she was like, just take a whole pill because you're like dying. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I took a pill. They're probably like the size of like a sweet tart, if you know what sweet tarts are. It's probably about that size. And I know I said I don't take pills. I chewed it, okay? Like, sorry for people who are going to be like, oh my gosh, you can't chew pills. Like, whatever. So, one of the things that my mom always makes me do when I have kidney stone is drink stuff, because, like, that's how you get the kidney stones out. You drink stuff, so it, like, you know, like, I don't know, science. So, she gave me lemonade, because we had, like, random lemonade in the fridge. So, she brought me up a cup of lemonade, and I was in her bedroom, and, like, her like routine of like when she comes home from work, even though like she wasn't gonna go back to work, but she came home from work and she was like, okay, I'm gonna take a shower, because that's like normally what she does when she gets home from work. She takes a shower. So she was like, just let the medicine start working, drink some lemonade. And I was like in her bed like watching like Netflix or something, and she's like, I'm just gonna take a shower really quick, like whatever. So I was like, okay, fine, because I was like, okay, I'm finally gonna start feeling better. So I'm laying there, I'm drinking my lemonade, and I'm noticing I'm not really feeling much better, but I'm feeling really tired. So I'm just kind of like laying there, kind of like not really falling asleep, but like, you know when you're like on the edge of sleep? It's kind of like that, because these pills like make you so tired. I don't know what's in them, like just strong stuff, but it wasn't making the pain go away. And I was like, how is this making me tired or not helping me feel better? I was like really ticked off. So my mom gets out of the shower and like whatnot, and like whatever show I was watching had ended, and it was like the end of a series. So I was like, well, oh, what should I watch next? And she put on some cupcake show, and I was like totally not into this cupcake show, and I was like, can we watch something else? She's like, no, I want to watch this. I was like, oh, rude. But so I'm like laying there, she's sitting next to me in her bed, and I fall asleep, and I wake up a while later, and my dad gets home, and he feels so bad that he wasn't there, because I think I left him a message. I think I was like, hey dad, like I have a kidney stone, I need you to call mom, like so I think he felt like really bad, and I think my grandpa like called him or something, or he called him, I don't know, but like he somehow found out that like my grandpa like handled it and like whatever, but he like felt like really bad, and especially since I was like dying like right there before his eyes, like he felt bad. Anyways, so then my mom is like, oh, I'm hungry. So she goes down, and I remember this, she gets watermelon, and I just remember I'm in so much pain. The pain pills are not helping. I'm just incredibly sleepy, and she's sitting there, and she's eating this watermelon, and all I can hear is the crunch, crunch, crunch of this stinking watermelon, and it made me feel so sick. I had to go get up and sit in front of the toilet because I thought I was going to throw up. And sometimes also, when the pain gets really bad, I will throw up from the pain. So that was another thing. It was probably just a combination of all of that stuff. So I was like, then I started crying again, and it was like really not good. And my mom was like, I think we should go to the hospital. Like, it's obviously not helping. Like, we should just go to the hospital. And I was like, okay. So I get on my shoes and we go. So, I don't know how far away the hospital is. I feel like it's like 30 minutes, but it felt like an eternity. And I was like, you know how like, I don't know if any of you have ever experienced this. I know I have, but if you're in a lot of pain, like you can't like sit still. You're like moving and like squirming. I could not sit still in the seat of the car because it just hurt so bad. And finally we get there, and I'm like, I walk in, I'm like crying. I'm not like making a scene, but like I am clearly in pain because obviously it hurts, but also if I'm crying, they're probably going to take me sooner. So I'm like, this is working in my favor. So somehow there were not a lot of people in the emergency room. So they take me into the little like thing to like be like, oh, what's wrong with you, like whatever. And my mom's like, she has a kidney stone, like blah blah blah. So they're like, okay, and they get me a room, and they put like a needle in my arm, and they give me like pain stuff, and oh, so I think they're like giving me like morphine or something like that, and they're like, okay, we're also gonna give you some other stuff so we can do like a CAT scan or like some scan thingy, so they can look inside of me and like make sure that it's a kidney stone and not like, I don't know, something else like horribly wrong. But I was like, it's a kidney stone. Like, I've had these before, like I know what it is. So anyways, they're like giving me stuff through my IV. I'm like, I need more, like it's not helping, I am in pain. So my mom has to go like find my nurse, and she's like, hey, my daughter like needs more pain medication, like she is still in a lot of pain, like come help. So after like a long time, the nurse finally comes back in. She's like, "You're still in pain?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so she gives me more pain medication. And then I remember I was like Snapchatting this. And this is before I had like a lot of followers, because like I gained a whole bunch later in the year in August. So I didn't even really have that many people. But I remember I was Snapchatting, I was like, "I'm in the hospital." Oh my gosh, if I still have the Snapchats, I'll put them in right here. So anyways, I got a lot of nice Snapchats from people, and they were like, "Oh, are you okay?" Anyways, so they were also like, "Oh, let's try to do an ultrasound of your kidneys to see if we can see it with that." So they did that. They couldn't see anything, and I was like, "That's helpful." And then they take me in for the scan thingamabobber. I think it was CAT scan, but maybe it wasn't. I have no idea. So they take me in, and I was wearing these red pants, and they had zippers on them, and after my scan thing, they were like, "Oh, you weren't supposed to wear metal," but oops. So, here's another thing that I thought was really funny. Before I went in for a scan, they needed me to pee in a cup and then, like, test it for, like, I don't even know what. But, so, after they did the CAT scan or whatever, I think it's, they don't want to scan you if you're like pregnant or something, because that can like mess up stuff. I have no idea. I'm not a doctor. But after my scan, I remembered this guy who was like taking me back to my room. He was like, "Oh, by the way, you're not pregnant." And I was like, "Oh, gee, thanks. I had no idea." So I just thought that was like so funny. Like, I remember that to this day, and I always make jokes about it. And I'm like, "Oh, by the way, I'm not pregnant." Like, I don't know. It's just so funny because I was like, "Yeah, well, duh, I'm not pregnant." Anyways, so we go back to my room. And, like, I'm still, like, waiting there. I'm finally starting to feel, like, a lot better. And then, like, later, this guy comes in. Like, some, like, doctor. Not, like, some random guy. That would have been funny, though. So he comes in. He's like, "Oh, yeah, you have a kidney stone." I think it was 4 millimeters, which, like, that's, like, big. So, like, duh, that's why it hurts so much. But I think, like, 5 millimeters and smaller you can pass, but if it's like bigger than 5, then like they need, like, there's a good chance that it's gonna be stuck and they need to like do surgery or like something else. Like, so they're like, it's 4, so it's like kind of big but still passable, but you know, you're really small, so like that's kind of big for you, so like I don't know what you want to do. So like, yeah, so I was like, okay, well, I kind of don't want to have surgery. But he was like, my mom was like, she was like, "What would be your advice?" And he would be like, to stay here and like get it like taken care of or whatever. And he was like, "We can't prescribe you medicine if you like leave, because it would be like leaving against like doctor's orders, I guess, like something like that. I don't know." So my mom was like, "Okay, we better just stay here, because obviously like the pills that I had are like really old and they're not like working anymore, except for making me really tired." So we were just like, "Okay, let's stay here." And then I got like admitted to the hospital officially, and they got me like a room, and then I was there for the night. So I think it was a Thursday, Wednesday. It was a Wednesday or Thursday. I think it was a Thursday. Maybe it was a Wednesday. I have no idea. Anyways, I feel like, I think it was a Thursday. Yeah, I think it was a Thursday. So, they admit me, like, whatever. I'm finally starting to feel a lot better, but I can't eat anything because they don't want me to eat anything in case I'm going to have surgery the next day. So, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed now, like, whatever. Okay, 4 something in the morning, my roommate next door, like, legitimately, like, a curtain separating us, she starts throwing up. It's, like, the grossest sound ever. She's like, and, like, I can, like, hear her throwing up, and it's, like, it's making me want to throw up. And I'm like, really? Like, really? Really? You put me with this lady who's throwing up. Thanks. And then, oh, by the way, my mom is still here. So, she's, like, they brought in, like, this weird reclining chair bed thing. Like, it's not even a bed. It was this weird chair thing for her to sleep on. but she didn't even end up sleeping on it because like apparently it was like really uncomfortable. So she pulled over like a chair, like one of those just like chairs that's in the room, and then she was like half on the chair, half on the bottom of my bed. So anyways, my mom's still there. She wakes up from the throwing up lady. So then we both go back to bed. Then at like 5 something in the morning, some nurse person comes in. They put like the blood pressure thing on me. They're like taking my blood pressure, taking my temperature, taking my blood. I'm like, you know I have a kidney stone. Why are you taking my blood at 5:30 in the morning? What? Anyways, then I go back to sleep. And then the next day, like these 2 doctor peoples come in. And they're like, all right, here are your options. So they're like telling me like all this like stuff that I could do. So like, you could have surgery, but we're gonna put in like a stent, and then the kidney stone will come out, and then we need to have surgery to take it out like at a later date. I was like, that doesn't sound fun. And then they're like, or we could give you some medication to dilute your somethings. I don't even know. I don't even know. And they're like, or you could wait it out at home. And like, since I've like been to like the doctors before, like I've gone to the doctors because I've had kidney stones, not to the hospital. I've gone to the doctors, so like they had like all, well, in the hospital, but they had all like my data to be like, oh, she's a kidney stone girl. So like, and they had proof like, oh, like you have a history of kidney stones, and they knew that I was good at passing them. And like my mom had a whole conversation with them, being like, here's her like whole history, here's her life story with kidney stones, like, you know, whatever. And they were like, well, it sounds like you have a pretty good chance of passing it, but we would strongly recommend that you have surgery. And then they like left so that we could like talk about it. And I was 18 at the time, so like even if my mom was like, you're gonna have surgery, I could be like, no, I'm not, because I was 18, and I'm like, I'm not having surgery today. So I was like, yeah, I don't want to have surgery. She's like, all right, I agree with you. I don't think you should. I think you have a good chance of passing it. And I was like, well, good, because I'm not having surgery. So then like some other person comes in, and they're like, oh, have you decided what you want to do? And we're like, yeah, we want to go home and like see if we can pass it. So they're like, all right, that sounds good. So then they write me a prescription for like pain stuff that I can like take, so I'm not like dying at home. And then they finally let me have food. And then my dad shows up, and I'm like, why are you here? See, that's why I think it was a Friday, because otherwise he would have gone to work, but he works from home on Friday, so that's why I think that it was a Thursday and now it's a Friday. So anyways, he comes. I'm like, why are you here? Because like he's been like talking to my mom this whole time, and like if he knows I'm gonna go home, why'd he show up? I'm like, anyways, they finally bring me breakfast. They brought me cranberry juice and French toast, and I was like, yes. So I had that. I didn't even like eat it all because I was just like, you know when you're like on tons of medication, you just feel kind of sick. Like that's kind of what I felt. So then we go home, and my mom gets like the prescription, and then I'm just like laying on the couch. I think I have like another Snapchat. I think I might have like my saved Snapchats. If I do, I'm putting them in. But I remember I was just like laying on the couch, and I was like, like I'm just exhausted from like everything. And later that day, when my medication wore off, there was no more pain, and I passed the kidney stone. And that was the end of that. But let me also give you some more backstory to this whole story. So, here's my backstory to the whole story. I am a part of an organization called Vida Nueva. And basically, it's like a Christian retreat thingamabobber for like people ages like 9th grade to 20 or 21. I have no idea. Something like that. So, like my parents are like, they've been a part of it since like forever. So now I'm a part of it, like, you know. So, we recently moved to a different retreat center to have our weekend, and they have like heavily treated water, so it made a lot of people have like upset stomachs, and like that can like make you dehydrated. So I was like, that's why I got a kidney stone, because I got dehydrated. So now anytime I go on a retreat weekend, I get special food which like doesn't touch any of their water, so I can't get sick ever again and end up in the hospital for a kidney stone. So now I'm special. So yeah, I don't know. That's my whole story. And then I remember I missed a lot of school and just in life in general, because I didn't like school and I didn't want to be there and I was anxious, and just in general I didn't really feel like going to school. So I remember when I went into school the next week. Yeah, because I went home on Thursday and then I was out on Friday. When I went back in on Monday, like, you have to get a pass, and like, oh, I was absent, like, here's my pass. And then I remember, like, my English teacher, like, he was, like, a bit judgy on, like, people missing school, because he's like, oh, you all have senioritis, like, da-da-da-da. I don't know. So I remember, I was like, oh, here's my pass, I was out. And he's like, oh, are you okay? And I was like, I was in the hospital. So I remember I felt so good. I was like, I have a legit reason. I was in the hospital. What do you think about that? I just remember I was like, I was in the hospital. He's like, oh, are you okay? I was like, I had a kidney stone. He was like, oh, that's terrible. And I was like, yeah, it is. And I was just like, I don't know, just teachers annoy me so much. And like, I hated that school. Okay, can you tell? I really hated my high school. So that's the end of my story. But the reason, as I said before, the reason I was telling this is because I got a kidney stone today, and like, they seem to come in waves. So whenever I get one, I usually get like a few more, and then like I'll be good for a while, and then I'll get another like wave of a couple. So now I'm kind of freaked out that I might get like a couple more, and there's no telling how bad they will be. So yeah, I'm hoping for the best. So we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, that's the story of the second time I was hospitalized for a kidney stone. So I hope you guys enjoyed my lovely experience and learned from me. Don't make the same mistakes I did. I don't know how this could possibly happen to anybody else, but I'm wishing you all the best. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave me a big thumbs up. Also, leave me a big thumbs up for trying to consistently post. I am doing my best. And then also, comment down below any of your thoughts on this video. I would love to hear any of your thoughts. And then subscribe if you're not already for more of my crazy or random shenanigans. I have a whole bunch planned for this summer. And then hit that bell to get notified when I post, because I don't post at a certain time every day. So, yeah. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!